Okay, so first of all, the first one, it's a review. When we're finding the inverse, what do you have to do? Flip the x and the y, and then what do you solve for? Then you solve for the y. Okay? The next set is write the expression in exponential form and radical form. So exponential form means there's not a radical anymore, so you put parentheses around what's in, and then you raise to the 1/3. If it's in exponential form to start, that means you have to add the radical. And the index this time is 10. So the index goes here. And I can tell you from grading your homework this weekend, y'all, the 10 goes right here. It's not a number in front. It's not this. So if you're copying your friends, make sure you're getting the 10 in for the index, right? It's not the beforehand, okay? Because these were just wrong when you copied those. That's not how we do that. All right. So no negative exponents. So number 6 and number 7, they're both division. And what's the difference between the two of them? What's my base on number 6? 10. So I have to have a 10 in the answer, right? So that'll be 10, and I'm going to subtract 3 minus 1, and that gives me 2/7. So what's the base on number 7?
5x.
The x is the base, but 30 divided by 5 gives me 6, and then I get 1 minus 3, which is negative 2 over 2. And what is the negative 2 over 2 reduced to? But no negative answers. So where does the x to the negative 1 go? Goes to the bottom. So you have 6 over x, and that's your answer. When I raise to a power, I'm multiplying. So I'm going to take negative 3 times 20 gives me negative 60 divided by 4, negative 15. But I also have to distribute it to the bottom. So I'm going to have negative 20 divided by 4 gives me negative 5. So neither one of them are happy where they are. So what do you have to do? So the y to the 5 goes on top and becomes positive, and the 15 goes to the bottom and becomes positive. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you divide, you subtract. Make sure you know what the base is, okay? If it's a number, you have to leave the number there, like this one. 10 is the base. You have to have 10 in your answer. The x is the base, and so you have an x in your answer, all right? And you divide the rest of the numbers. All right, then we did 12 through 17, and that's where you had to do the little birthday cake thing and simplify it. And so if I do number 13, so if I have 162, so once I simplify that all the way down, I have to look at the index. What's the index on this one? 4. So I have to have groups of 4 to come out, right? So I had, bless you, I had 4 3s. So I can take a 3 out. And what's left? And so make sure you add your index here. You need the index. The 2 had to stay home. It doesn't have a partner. And then the x squared. Are there enough of them to bring out a set? So what do I do with them? You have to leave them. You can't do anything. So one more, number 14. I don't know why everybody always misses this. What's the index on number 14? 2. So I'm taking the square root, right? What is the square root of 49? 7. And then how many x's do I have? 8 divided by 2 gives me, so I get 7x to the 4th. Okay, are we all copacetic? Except for you that aren't. And then I'm okay with that. You don't even have your glasses on. You're not. Look, I can be a bully. You cannot be a bully. All right. So pretty much, y'all, there's only 3 things you have to do with these, right? You either have to multiply, you have to subtract, or you have to simplify them. All right? So those are cakewalk. All right. So then the next thing we did is we spent some time graphing. So listen to all of my words. There were 3 graphs. And you have to know what the original graphs look like. And if you don't, you're going to miss all of these. It's going to be easy to correct it. I'll just mark them all wrong. I'll use pretty ink like pink and purple and stuff, but they'll be all wrong. But there's only 3 choices. The first one was a square root. And it looks like this. So y is the square root of x. That's the first one that we talked about. The vertex is at 0, 0. The second one we talked about was the cube root of x. And again, it looks like the square root, but it had the back tail part. So it looks like the square root, but it has the tail part. And the fourth one we talked about was x to the 3rd. It was the cubic. And again, it's at 0, 0. And it looked like a quadratic. It starts to look like a parabola. And then it has a tail on the other side, like it flipped down. And all of the transformations on here, all of them, work like all of the transformations for everything we've done. So we have the A, which is a vertical stretch or compression. And that's a number, right? If it's a 2, it's a stretch. If it's a 1/2, it's a compression. The B is a horizontal stretch or compression. And again, that's a number. It's either 2 or a half. It's a number, all right? The C, that's with the X, and that's the big fat liar. That's why there are X's and they lie. And so it's not a shift to the left, it's a shift to the right. And the D is my up and down. There's only one other transformation. If the A is negative, what does that mean? It's a reflection over X. And if the B is negative, it's a reflection over the Y. So they all work the same, right? All you have to know is these 3 things, and you can get these all right. So if I look at the first one, this is x to the 3rd. So that is this one right here. So I have a negative outside. So I know that's a reflection over what? It's a reflection over x. And that tells me before I even start, this has to go which way? Down. And this has to go up, right? So it's a reflection. And the plus 3, it's an x. It's a big fat liar, so it's not positive. It's moving left. And the plus 5, up 5. So once you know that, the rest is easy. So then it's minus 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if there's no stretch and compression, we use up 1 and over 1 and down 1 and over 1. But I know this is reflected, so I'm going to go this way. And we know that the domain and range is all real numbers. So now we have the box, and these are supposed to be easy points. And I'll just give you a hint. If you've circled them all, they're wrong, right? We're not, some of you just start circling crap. And I think you just make it up. So what exactly did I do to my graph? I reflected it over the x, so I'm going to circle that. I did not reflect it over the y, so do not circle that one. What would have to be negative if it was a reflection over the y? Inside, right? Is it a stretch or a compression? There's not an A, so it's not. So don't circle either one, or you're making it up. Did I move it left or right? Left and up or down? That's it. You're done. Stop. All right, you try the next one. It's a cube root, so it starts like this one. Okay, so I'm missing Carol, Katya, Rudolph, and Emmanuel. Yes? No, you're not. Big fat blank box right here. Well, then who else is absent? You guys cannot do this. Katya's really gone. Bless you, Emmanuel. All right. Okay, see if yours matches. Okay, so once you get your point, right, it's reflected, so I went up and back one and down and over one. So they should all look about the same. So what transformations? I reflected over X or Y? X, did I stretch or compress? No. Did I move left or right? Up or down? Okay. So now you have the graph, and you have to write the equation. So here's the first point right here. And so this is a cubic. So I know I have to have an x to the third in there. This got shifted how many this way? Is that 2? I can't read. 2, I know. And up 3? Is this going the right way? It's going up to the right, so there's no reflections. And then is it over 1 and up 1 to the next point? So there's not a stretch or compression. I know my domain and range are all reals. So I'm going to get so what's different between 20 and 21? It's reflected over what? X or Y? X. It's X. Well, it ends up being the same. We're just going to say it's the X, though, okay? They're the same. All right, so the negative is going to go on the outside. So here's the point I'm starting at. So it got shifted how many? 2 or 1? 1. And it went down or up? No. The green button is the darker dot is the shifted should be right here. Wait, it didn't go up 1. It went, you guys. Yes. Look, the origin's right here. So it went this way. I was looking at this line. I don't know what that line is. So look, this is the origin right here. So it moved this way. And up how many? 2. And then it's a reflection. Okay, so then the next question I have for you is there a stretch or compression this time? And I can tell you right now the answer is yes. Because if this is my shifted point, the next point is not on your watch, but it's down 1 and over 1. Down 1 and over 1, and it's not there. It's down here. So stretch and compression is like slope. So it's the change in y over the change in x. And the change of x is cubed because we're doing the cubic function. So if I was doing the square root, it would be the square root on bottom. If I was doing quadratic, it would be squared. It doesn't matter what the function is, that it goes on the bottom. So this one, how many do I go down? 4, and how many over? 1. And so what is 1 cubed? 1. So 4 divided by 1 is 4. So my A value, I have a stretch of 4. Okay, you guys do the next two. All right, Colin, number 22. What kind of graph is it? It is, right? So it's the cube root. So this one right here should be right here. So it shifted how many? So it moved 3 this way. How many did it shift down? 1. And then should this go down or up? Up, so it's reflected over the x. Who's calling me? No, you're not. All right. Andrew, what's the next one? We'll take a look. He hasn't even been here for 2 weeks, and he knows what it is. Eric, what is it? It's the square root. And where should this be? And so it's shifted which way? Okay, so this one is the square root. It's going to be x and minus 4. But this, the domain and range, is it 0? Is it infinities? No. So this one starts at 0 and goes to infinity. And this one starts at -4 and goes to infinity. Okay, I want to go all the way to the bottom, and then I'll let you look at the rest. Okay, so the square root, Andrew. So the square root looks like that, right? So here's the question. It says, except for 0, 0, the graph of y equals the square root of x is entirely contained in the first quadrant, which is right here. And that's true. It says, which quadrant will contain the graph of this? So first of all, what does this minus do? Over which axis? Y. So this goes this way, right? It flips it across the y-axis. And next, the +2, which way does that shift it? So this is going to slide 2 to the left and then up 1. So here's new, and it's going to go this way. So which quadrant is that entirely in now? It's in the second.